Mike Max me.
Hello. Are we good?
Yes, I think we are.
Me-
Nice. We are live.
All right, what's up, guys?
Hey, what's up?
I'm John.
I'm Joseph.
Today we're just going to talk about what it means to be a rhythm section. So just bass and drums individually, and then we're going to talk about how they work together as a unit.
Right. It's important. It's very important to band that the bass and drums are kind of like their own partnership, even though it's a full band. That's really like the backbone and structure of any song that really happens. So,
Right.
Just gonna go over through some examples and stuff you can do to improve yourself.
Yeah, just like little skills, little tweaks you can do to your playing to get you sounding more cohesive, more together. If you have any questions before we go on, like just go ahead, tell us in the comments. Also, if while we're explaining stuff, if you have any like general music theory questions, ask us too, so we could like break that stuff down.
Yeah, we'll be answering questions as long as we go. So, get on the.
All right. Actually, before I hop on the kit, I just want to talk about the mindset for playing drums. The way I like to go about it is because drums compared to other instruments is more of an experience. It's physical. You know, you don't have notes, you don't have scales, all that. It's all about how you're doing everything, what you're bringing to the table with your physicality and your mood. So it's very important to be very relaxed while playing drums. A lot of people want to shred and want to just go off and do all these like crazy, like fast things. But a main theme that we're going to talk about today is how it's important to keep things simple sometimes, where more is less. And we're going to show you a couple examples of how more is less.
Yeah, the bass is a little bit different. You know, the bass, when people think of a band, they're like, the guitar is the coolest part of the bass. But people don't know the bass is actually one of the most important parts. And there's a lot of cool things you can do with the bass. And you can use the drums to help you make your sound a lot cooler. Mm-hmm. So, without any further ado,
now let's go.
All right, so I'm just gonna move up here. So you guys,
anybody ask me questions?
Or are we? No, we don't have no questions yet.
All right,
well, we're good for now. Some questions, we'll cut us off a little bit. But yeah, so the first thing we want to kind of discuss is something simple, like a 2 and 4.
A 2 and 4 beat. Okay, so for anybody who doesn't know what a 2/4 beat is, basically just kind of simplifying it is when you're looking at a drum set, you have these main components. The main components we're going to talk about are these two metal plates that I can control with my foot or also play with my stick. This is called the hi-hat, and then we have the kick drum on the floorboard, which you're going to use your foot for. And then you have the snare drum over here, which is a really loud, really kind of high-pitched one. So we have the hi-hat, snare, and kick. So basically what a 2/4 beat is where you're going to be alternating from your foot and from your hand on the snare, kind of doing this type of pattern. Kick, snare, 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 just over and over again. And that creates this nice pulse while you're playing your music. And pulse is just like this heartbeat that you kind of follow, this really nice groove, really steady. And for anybody who knows about drums, you can always add the hi-hat to kind of create this steady time, this little blanket on top of everything. So while you have this pulse going, you can add so many different kinds of notes. I'm not going to get too into it, but let's just think about this really simple groove, right? Joseph?
So what I'm going to do after explaining the 2/4 beat is there's a bunch of ways to play bass. I like to use my pick. You can also use your hands. But pretty much we're going to show you what you can do with a 2/4 beat and how I can play around with just simple notes and make something sound really groovy.
Okay, so 2 and 4 beat. The big thing is keep it simple. Like I said, people want to go crazy with drums. They want to shred all over the place. And there's always a time and place for that. I promise, like that's going to come. But with this 2 and 4 beat, our main job as a drummer is to keep time. We have to keep this thing, and bass as well, we have to keep this thing called a pocket. So if anybody's heard the term pocket,
I don't mean like your jean pocket.
Not your jean pocket. All a pocket means is staying in the zone, in the time, not fluctuating, not going too fast, not going too slow, which is really hard. It takes a lot of time to train as a musician to be able to keep this pocket nice and easy. But the best way to start keeping a pocket is by keeping things simple. So we're going to show you an example of a song that has a very simple 2 and 4 beat, but show you how they kind of mess around with the rhythms a little bit to make everything nice and groovy. Just keeping that simple 2/4. 2, 3, 4, 1. counting along, if you actually count, if you break apart what we're playing in 4 even counts, 1, 2, 3, 4, get that heartbeat, 2, 3, 4. You notice we call it a 2 and 4 beat because the accents from this snare, from this high-pitched, grainy kind of drum are coming on the numbers 2 and 4. So you get kind of that whip, kind of like a clap. 1, down, 3. That's why it's called a 2 and 4 beat.
And pretty much what I'm doing around the bass is I'm just kind of hitting regular notes on everything. But you also hear me do a walk-up bass line, which is kind of sort of what it means, what it sounds like, a walk-up. I'm just going up each fret one by one. But something that's simple and you can hear when we play together, it makes the song a lot more funkier. You can dance a lot more to it. Little stuff like that.
Right. Keeping things funky is a lot about getting people to move, getting people to want to dance. And it's by adding these, it's by keeping this very simple backbone that we're doing. And then Joseph's doing a really good job on the bass, adding these little extra notes. You know, he's going bum, bum, doing all those little things to kind of give you that, you know, it makes you want to move. But that's the most important part.
Doesn't also just work for like funk songs or disco songs. We're going to show you an example right now where sometimes you can go a little bit crazier on the bass, but it's also important. You're going to see also how the drums stay a little bit more simple, and eventually it all just sounds really well together.
Oh, before we even play this next one, let's tell them what that first song was.
Right. The first song was Flashlight by a band called Parliament.
Flashlight by Parliament. So it's a funk song. So that's
funk song.
Groove in a funk context.
It's not a hard bass line to play either, and like that just goes to show you, you know, if you just learn a bunch of songs, you'll see that these songs aren't really complicated to play, but it's in the manner that they play them and the timing that's most important about anything.
Yeah, I think the best thing that he just said right now is to learn songs. The best way to get that feel is just to emulate people you watch and people that you want to sound like, and you just gotta literally do what they do, literally copy it, steal everything. And you're eventually going to absorb all those skills, and you're going to be able to create your own sound out of that.
Right. So remember, just in case, guys, if you guys have any questions, it doesn't just have to be about what we're doing, our topic right now. It could be about anything regarding bass drums, and we'll feel free to ask us questions. We'd love to answer your questions.
Yeah, let's take a little pause, like to see
we'll take a little pause.
If anybody has, we'll take like 10 seconds.
We'll play like a song in the background.
Any questions? Let us know.
Questions?
Done?
No questions.
All right, that's all good.
No questions, I can't see them. But,
okay.
All right, so
wait.
Next.
Okay, before you even go on to that, something that I just feel like you demonstrated really good. We demonstrated really good. I don't know if you caught, we kind of glanced at each other for a second when we did this little thing. Because a big part about playing with somebody else, because we're both playing with each other. We're not just playing ourselves. And that's an important thing. Playing with somebody else is not the same as playing by yourself because it becomes more of a conversation. Mm-hmm. So basically, what we kind of did right there, it's kind of like, it's almost like you're just talking with your friend and he throws in a little joke in there and you're just like, let me expand on that joke. Let me add a little something in there too. So he was doing that little and I kind of just literally mimicked that rhythm, but on the drums. So I did that little thing that I did here. So it takes a lot of practice, but it's really, really good to practice with somebody or to practice with your teacher.
It's important to stay in sync because, like I said, even though it's, you know, if we were playing with another guitarist or like a singer, obviously we're all a band together, but like if me and John are in the same wavelength, so to say, if we're not communicating together at the same time, the beats can easily fall out of place and it just won't sound as good as it does.
Yeah, man. It makes a really fun experience. Really, like, it's like a conversation. It's a very, very human thing, so it's really cool. All right, now
okay, so John's gonna kind of, is it still a 2/4 beat?
It's still a
2/4 beat, but now I'm gonna kind of be shredding a little bit on it, and you're gonna see how more is less from his side, but you can also, if you're a bass player, put a little bit more skill into it, put a little bit more music theory and stuff, and you're gonna see what we come up with. Right
yeah, so this is gonna be the last one was funk. This is gonna be in a rock context, and you're gonna see how Josep is the one carrying this. He's super carrying this vibe right now. I'm just gonna be keeping the backbone. He's gonna be doing all the work. All right, go ahead.
Didn't hear it again. We'll play it one more time. Ready?
What was that?
something simple here, something to maybe a lot of people won't understand what this means. To people who study music, they'll know what this means. We're playing at different time signatures, me and John. You want to explain what that is?
Okay. I don't want to get too in depth with time signature for those, like he said, for those who aren't studying music so intensely. But basically, what a time signature is the method that you're using to count these like blocks within the song. I'm not gonna use too much vocabulary, but you know how I said in the beginning we could break what we're playing into 4 beats. We can just count 1, 2, 3, 4 throughout whatever we're playing. That's what a time signature is. I'm not gonna give you any more specifics, but let's just say it's the way that we're counting it. This convention that we're using of 4 beats. In that song, that's a song by Led Zeppelin. Black Dog, and Led Zeppelin's really known for their rhythm section for their drummer John Bonham, and he does some super crazy. They do some super crazy intricate stuff. Basically, he wasn't counting 1, 2, 3, 4. You're not only limited to these 4 beats. You can also expand it to 5, to 6,
You can cut it down
7.
to 3 if
You can cut it down to 3. You can cut it down to 2. Basically, what was going on there, which you don't even notice, is that I was going within these 4 counts. He was kind of changing it to a totally different number. But you don't even notice it, which is the important part, because this guy, he just kept the groove, he kept it going simple, and he was doing all the work. Like I said, he was doing all that crazy mathematical work in his head.
Kind of sounded like I was soloing a little bit, and it can be a little bit confusing and like tough to grasp the concept while you're playing with somebody else. But it starts off like with the first song that we did, something simple like that, and you can keep expanding that.
Right. Yeah, and just for like, we're called a rhythm section because we're so heavy on rhythm. Even though bass is kind of like the best of like both worlds, where you get to work with notes and you get to compose too. Yeah, you get to slide, you get to do all these like cool techniques. But we're keeping the rhythm, we're keeping the drive, the feel, what makes people want to dance. So it's really important if you want to know where to start when it comes to bass and drums. Just start with the really, really basics of rhythm. So the basics of rhythm, not even talking about notes. It's just going to be learning what like the bass. Yeah, learning
clapping along to a song.
Clapping along to a song is such a good way.
If you can clap along to a song, it kind of you already know that it has a rhythm to it because it's supposed to make you feel what that rhythm is.
Mm-hmm. You get this. You kind of get this natural feeling where you want to clap in a certain place and you want to move in a certain way. And even if you don't get it, because I can't speak for everybody, it doesn't come as easy to everybody. Everybody's different. We learn at a different pace. You can work on this stuff too. So don't get discouraged if maybe like you're hearing a song and you're just like, I don't hear what you're talking about. I don't hear this like pulse, because you can definitely there are ways to work on it and there are ways to look out for it. So yeah.
And again, if you guys want to ask questions, feel free to drop them in.
Yeah, let's get that 10 second. Another 10 seconds if anybody wants to ask something. What time is it?
It is 5:14.
Any questions? Anything?
Yeah, we'll give you guys like a couple seconds.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I'll play
Take it away. Take it away.
No, wait.
Anything?
See, that was a good example of miscommunication. I just tried to do something I didn't really look at down there. But okay, so what we want to kind of move up to is something that's called upbeats.
Upbeats. All right.
That's it to John.
Yeah. So just talking about groove, like, okay, we were talking about the basic like 2/4 beat, right? We're talking about that basic backbone. But now, if you're like, okay, like I can keep it simple, right? You're at this point where you got this basic beat going on, and you're just like, all right, that's cool. But then you hear like these like disco songs or like these funk songs, and they're kind of doing like these like upbeat kind of. They like it has a different vibe, makes you also want to dance. Yeah, but everything sounds a little bit like they're being thrown at you, like they're punching at you, they're coming at you. So it's really based
it
on
comes down to how you count your notes too.
How you count your notes.
John was counting 1, 2, 3, 4, but in between each of those 1, 2, 3, and 4, there's an extra beat in between those.
Yeah, basically, when you're thinking about beats, like I said, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you're looking at these 4 beats, don't think about them as nothing else but just musical space that we're filling in with our playing. So imagine this like giant, like this box right here that we could fill in with a bunch of stuff, right? So we could easily fill it in. I told you we could fill it in with 1, 2, 3, 4 beats, which just means that within this time, this musical space, you can play 1, 2, 3, 4 until it repeats. Then I'll just keep repeating 1, 2, 3, 4, another box, 1, 2, 3, 4, another box, 1, 2, 3, 4. But when you when you really start diving into it, you can have things that go in between each one of these beats. And again, like it's not like the clearest explanation or the most detailed. So feel free to ask whatever. But in these spaces in between, basically, we can kind of slice everything in half and just kind of mentally think about counting it in a different way. So the best way I think I can explain eighth notes is like this. Try tapping your foot. If you're tapping your foot, imagine it's your foot. Imagine you're tapping your foot and you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, right? For every single beat, you're tapping your foot, you're hitting the floor. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to know where up beats, which are the in-between beats are, they're coming exactly when your foot goes up. So if you're going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, you see how I'm getting like kind of like a double up feel now? 1, 2, 3, 4, and literally try it. I swear, it kind of makes it click for everybody.
Make sure you start down first.
You
can start up too, but
you can start up too, but
don't worry about it. Start down.
Keep it nice and simple. You're going down 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're step, 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 step. Those are called downbeats when your foot is going down, when you're hitting the floor. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4 that we're always counting while we're playing. So you got down, 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 down. Now these up beats are going to be when your foot goes up. So we have down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So now we have a total of 8 beats that we're working with. Before, we were working with 4 down beats. So that just means when your foot hits the floor 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're just adding the in-betweens, which is when your foot goes up in the air. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
We'll do an example right now.
And I'm going to show you exactly how you could put it into music.
So let's start with some downbeats, just downbeats first, and then we'll show you how this song progresses, this groove progresses as we just start adding some upbeats to it.
So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to keep the classic 2/4 beat that we're just talking about this whole time. I'm just going to be going 1, 2, 3, 4.
And I'm just going to keep going to the downbeats.
Try tapping your foot while we play this. 1, 2, 3. So your foot should be going down, 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 down.
And you notice me? I'm just going with all the snare beats, all the downbeats. Now I'm going to try adding some eighth notes. You'll hear it. After one more round. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so what he was saying, he mentioned eighth notes. That's basically just the musical term for these in-between notes.
Right. Yes.
Quarter notes are gonna be the regular 1, 2, 3, 4s that we're doing when your foot goes down. Eighth notes are gonna be those in-between notes. So basically, if we're counting, we were kind of just going together, going 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. He's gonna show you an example now of adding these in-between notes. So you can do something like this. You can add. So if we're talking about when you're moving your foot, he was going down, 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 down. Now he can add a note, for example, the first time your foot comes up. So going down, up, down, 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 up, down, down. Yeah, you hear that? Down, up, down, down. I'm going to keep the same groove. Down, up.
And already instantly, the song groove.
Already instantly.
It's a little more interesting. And you don't just have to have one. Now I'm just going to do downbeats and downbeats. They kind of have like a disco. Now I'm going to try an example of when I miss a downbeat and I hit an upbeat instead. Now, this is going to be a little bit confusing, so if you have any questions, remember, feel free to ask them there. But it's not going to be too complicated. What pretty much I'm going to do is I'm going to miss one of our downbeats and instead just come up on an upbeat.
So what he was doing, for example, he started messing around on his own. Remember I said we can go down, up, down, down, down. He's just adding notes wherever he feels like. It's wherever, it doesn't have to be so mechanical. Down, up, down, down, up. He was just adding it in all those ups now. He was adding that little high pitched, little slap kind of thing. For drummers, if you're playing along with somebody, say you're just playing this regular beat, 2, 3, Before then he starts doing that bum bum. You can kind of mimic what he's doing on the hi hat. I love doing that. Don't sleep on the hi hat. This guy right here, you can literally just hit it an extra time, and it gives a different flavor. Just adding like little things like that. I even like open my foot to get that little sizzle. You can add, you can do so much with so little with just this like these two little plates we have here.
Keeping a groove is just more being in communication with whoever you're playing, your back rhythm section with. Me and John have been playing forever with each other, so we understand each other very well when it comes to that stuff, and we both help each other understand rhythm easily. But we're gonna give some tips now on how to do different things that is gonna make your playing sound a lot more groovier, a lot more funkier, and it's John. I'll let you take it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So that's a really good segue to this whole concept where if you want to make your stuff sound groovier with a bassist, literally for drums, you can just do this. With this kick, it's really deep, right? It's kind of equivalent to how deep that bass is. Or if you play a really, really low note, play one all the way down to neck. Hear how it like kind of shakes the room. So what you can do is if you hear the bassist playing a rhythm, you can imitate what they're doing on the kick with your foot. So if, for example, see he's doing that. No. I could do a little.
You gotta notice that John's matching my hits, and the good thing about bass is that even though it's kind of a percussive instrument itself because you can slap it, and it also makes it percussive because once we both meet at the same note, even though it's kind of hard to tell, if you really pay attention and you hear it, it just brings the groove to like a new element.
And something else to note, though, with the way that they're working together, is how I was constantly keeping the snare. Remember this 2 and 4 thing I was talking about? It's so like it's you're gonna find it everywhere, like in pop music, in rock music, in jazz, in funk, and whatever you want, psychedelic music. Everywhere you're gonna find this 2 and 4 thing happening. So the fact that I was keeping this and not changing it at all also gives it this kind of cohesiveness. It means like it brings it all together. Where we're doing all this crazy stuff, bump, 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 but you always have this bump to kind of bring you back. But we're something you can move to, something that you can clap to. I think it's so important with rhythm section to make people want to move or to bring some kind of mood. You want to make people either want to like nod their head,
Sometimes
dance, want to whatever.
Sometimes this is like bass and drums is just as easy as just matching each other in the same thing you hit. We're gonna play a little bit of this groove, and at the end, you're gonna see we both kind of come together at each hit. Don't worry about the upbeats and downbeats for it. We're gonna just hear how we both come together as one unit and one note, right?
Yeah. So notice how we like kind of broke away at the end. Like we were like going in together, and then we started like doing our own stuff. But then you just come right back together. So let's do it again, and then let's keep the groove going again, so you could see, so they could see us breaking away from it and then coming back into it.
Yeah, so we got like 5 minutes left. Again, if anybody's got any questions, feel free to just ask them there.
Anything, please.
So that song was called Mellowship Slinky in B major by Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Red Hot Chili Peppers. A lot of people love Red Hot Chili Peppers in QI Rock. We play a lot of Red Hot Chili Peppers songs.
And there's a good reason for that because the bassist, Fleet, and then the drummer of that band, Chad Smith, they're so tight together and they just do simple stuff. It sounds complicated when you hear it. But if you just really break it down, they're just matching each other a couple notes, making sure that they hit each other, some upbeats, some downbeats. All that stuff is super important, especially if you want to develop a good groove and a good rhythm.
Yeah. So I guess to sum everything together, drums individually. a very physical experience, but you want to be very relaxed while you're doing it. You want to be very, you want to go with the groove. You don't want to be going into tense, going into hard. Don't think about all the crazy fills, all the crazy fast moving. It'll come later. But what we want to do is we want to keep time. We want to keep that thing called the pocket. We don't want to rush or drag too much. And when it comes to playing together, like I said, focus on just learning what rhythm is. There's so many ways you can learn about these types of notes, what rhythm is, how to apply it on the instruments, and play with somebody else too. It's all trial and error. Like in the beginning, like it's not like we could just get like that vibe like that with each other so easily. It takes time, so we kind of know each other. We can predict what we're gonna do, but in the beginning, yeah, just trial and error, a lot of that type of stuff.
Have some fun.
Have a lot of fun.
Don't be afraid to try something, even if you think it sounds wrong. Sometimes the best things happen by accident.
Best things happen by accident.
Have fun with it. It's supposed to be a rhythm thing. If you're feeling a certain rhythm, don't be afraid to try to explore that rhythm.
Yeah. Well, while you're practicing, I think this goes for both instruments. I think the best thing to do, is just to noodle, just to mess around. Like I love like letting my students at PY Rock, when we're playing through a song, we learn it, and I make sure he or she learns it the right way. But after they kind of get comfortable with it, you can just go off and just kind of do your thing, because it's all about experimenting and finding what you like to do, what works, what doesn't work. So just try whatever you want.
Got a question right here from Williams. It says, "Awesome. I have a question. What could be a good exercise to build independence in drums?"
Yeah, nice, really good. So in general, I'm very pro like working with a metronome. But even if you don't work with a metronome like too much, like at first,
I'm very pro not metronome. I'm just kidding.
Even if you don't work with one at first, I would say take everything separately first. I always like to break down my beats. Say we're playing a beat like this. So I would practice just doing your hand first, your right hand. Once you learn how to do that, practice your other hand by itself again. It's all about independence, like you said. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The other one again. I always like to go back and forth to remind myself how to do it again, just in case you forget. 1, you're doing this. The other one, you're doing 1, 2, 3, 4. Take everything super, super slowly. You're really stripping this beat down, taking it to its core, going really, really slowly. And I also
don't be afraid to go slow.
Don't be afraid to go slow.
People are afraid to go slow. Like, I just want to
go crazy. But I promise you, going slow is what makes you really tight. So take the beat apart like that. Sometimes I write it down so you can understand where you're hitting at the same time and where you're hitting by itself. So for example, right there, I was going 1, 2, 3, 4. So you got to slow it all the way down so you know exactly what moment you're hitting them together, what moments they're alone. And then it'll come together a lot easier when you speed it up. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. See, every time I say 3, you hit that. And then you just add in the kick next, doing the exact same method, just adding them. You could go 2 by 2. I like to do first the hands, then one hand, one kick, the other hand with your foot. You just take the beat apart like that. That's what I love to do. And I think it works really well.
Yeah, so we'll leave it. We got like a minute left. If anybody has any other questions, feel free. We're just kind of gonna wrap this up with a little groove.
Yeah, and if anybody is interested in just learning more about drums or about bass or about any other instrument, PY Rock's your place to go. We're both teachers, right there. We're both teachers. We both teach. I teach drums. I teach piano. I teach guitar. I don't sing, not yet. Just wait on it. Same thing. He works on all the instruments. So PY Rock's the place to go. Super good environment and lots of great teachers. So
thank you for watching this. I hope you guys learned some valuable stuff, and I hope you enjoy this next group.